Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for being here. I'd like to start this June 9th, 2026 Town Council meeting. To start us off, I would like to call Detective Zachary Martin to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here today on this tremendous occasion. I want to thank you all for being here. We're going to get started with Zachary first because some of you guys are on the clock, and we are so grateful for all you do and for your service. So, this recognition for tonight is for Zachary Martin. I'm so glad I've got some notes here because you do a whole lot, my friend. Detective Zachary Martin has been selected for Farmington's 2026 Police Officer of the Year in recognition of his exceptional investigative skills, decisive action, and steadfast commitment to both the community and his fellow officers. Over the past year, he demonstrated life-saving heroism by swiftly intervening to aid a choking victim, undoubtedly saving her life, and showcased outstanding investigative ability across multiple complex cases. His work includes leading and assisting in major investigations such as an interstate burglary operation involving over $44,000 in stolen property, where his coordination with multiple agencies led to arrests and the disruption of a broader New England theft network, as well as critical contributions to homicide cases through suspect interviews, digital forensic analysis, and the execution of key search warrants. As a lead investigator in a homicide, his persistence and strategic approach resulted in a confession and arrest. Beyond his casework, Detective Martin's leadership and compassion are evident through his service as a peer counselor, his election as union president, and his initiative in organizing a charitable fundraiser that raised over $20,000 for a fellow officer battling cancer. His professionalism, dedication, and impact make him an exemplary candidate for this honor, and we are so appreciative and are so honored to have you standing here and working for us. We appreciate it. You're all welcome to stay as long as you want, but officers, if you need to get back out on the road, and thank you for keeping us safe. We appreciate you all being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
I'm going to call on Keith. Would you like to read our?
Sure.
Next, oh, wait, I should go to our commendation, the FLIS scholarship,
Is that me?
please.
Okay, sure. Thanks, Brian. Before I read the commendation, I do want to thank Patty and Keith for their work in helping identify our worthy scholarship recipient. Whereas the Stephen A. Fliss Scholarship was established in 1985 and dedicated to Stephen A. Fliss, who served as town manager of the town of Farmington from 1955 to 1985. And whereas the scholarship was established for Farmington residents seeking a college degree in public administration and or public service. And whereas Eileen Shin of Farmington submitted her application to the Stephen A. Fliss Scholarship Committee. And whereas the Stephen A. Fliss Scholarship Committee unanimously chose Eileen's application and has approved a scholarship award of $1,500. And whereas Eileen has generously volunteered her time at the Farmington Public Library, has served as an active contributor to the library's unpublished podcast, XY Crossover, has studied and performed as a musician at the Hart School as both a soloist and chamber and orchestral musician, has participated in her school's class and chamber orchestras, has served as a junior leadership volunteer at the Korean School of Greater Hartford, and has actively participated in the American Sign Language Club, Art Club, Asian American Student Union, Cookies and Crumbs Club, Gender and Sexuality Alliance, Mock Trial, and Tabletop Game Alliance. And whereas Eileen Shin has been inducted into the National Honor Society, the Tri-M Music Honor Society, and the Mu Alpha Theta in recognition of her outstanding academic achievement, leadership, service, and commitment to excellence. And whereas Eileen Shin will attend the University of Connecticut in the fall to pursue studies in psychological sciences, continuing her commitment to public service through her dedication, leadership, and passion for the greater good. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Farmington Town Council commends Eileen Shin on her scholarship award and hereby encourages her continued success with her future studies. Dated Farmington, Connecticut, this 9th day of June, 2026. Brian Connolly, Chair.
Congratulations. Keith, would you like to do our next proclamation?
Sure. Maybe the young ladies of crew would want to stand up here while we do the proclamation. We can all. Small story. I was with the athletic director the day you guys won this. He was very excited, said we need to make sure we do this proclamation. I reached out to Brian. Brian immediately said, no problem, and so here we are. So congratulations. Really great job by everybody. I did try to make sure I would get everybody's names right, so when I get them wrong, I know it's going to be really that much worse, but I'll do my best, I promise. Whereas the Farmington girls' first varsity boat, known as Artemis, earned the state championship title at the Connecticut Public Schools Rowing Association Regatta held May 17th, 2026 on Lake Warramog, located in New Preston, Connecticut. And whereas throughout the season, the student athletes of Artemis demonstrated exceptional dedication, resilience, sportsmanship, teamwork, and competitive excellence. And whereas under the leadership of head coach Kristen Preskins, assistant coach Claire Brouillard, and novice coach Jennifer Wagner, the team represented their school and community with pride and distinction throughout the season. And whereas the members of the girls' varsity boat included Claudia Gavensky, Emma Hall, Adeline Huang, Sophia Jiang, Madeline Rivard, Sarah Siegel, Eva Skindaris, Brielle Sutcliffe, and Ella Rose Wagner. And whereas the state championship victory reflects not only the speed and talent of the Artemis, but also the culture of discipline, trust, perseverance, and teamwork fostered throughout the entire crew program. And whereas every Farmington boat, including the boys team led by head coach Adam Askham, earned medals in their respective events at the state championship regatta, marking the first time in school history that all Farmington boats medaled at the state championship competition. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Farmington Town Council, in recognition of the outstanding accomplishments of Farmington High School girls varsity boat and capturing the 2026 state championship title, hereby proclaim June 10th, 2026 as Farmington Girls' first Boat Artemis Day in the town of Farmington, dated this the 9th day of June, 2026, Farmington, Connecticut. Brian Connolly, Chair.
You want to get the trophy too?
Bring the flags. Bring the flags.
Careful, it comes apart, so just hold it together.
There you go. That's the hardware.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yep. Yeah, Dave, will you do our next proclamation?
Great job.
And ladies, congratulations on your win. And I know you probably have some things to do, so you are more than welcome to leave if you would like to. But we loved having you here. So thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Definitely butchered the coach's name. Sorry.
So the next proclamation. Whereas our country is made up of people from every nation on earth who are declared equal not only in freedom, but also in justice, both of which are essential for a healthy human civilization. And whereas the United States of America, in declaring its independence on July 4th, 1776, proclaimed, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." And whereas President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863, which holds that all persons held as slaves within a state or designated part of a state shall be thenceforward forever free, changing the legal status of 3.5 million enslaved people. And whereas on January 31st, 1865, Congress passed the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution, abolishing slavery throughout the United States and its territories. And whereas the news of freedom disseminated gradually throughout the nation, and on June 19th, 1865, 2 months after the official surrender of the Confederacy at Appomattox, and almost 2.5 years after President Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, Union soldiers arrived in Galveston, Texas, and issued General Order Number 3, announcing freedom to the last enslaved people in the United States. And whereas Juneteenth, is nationally recognized as the National Freedom Day, Emancipation Day, Jubilee Day, and Juneteenth, Independence Day, the oldest holiday commemorating the abolition of sanctioned slavery in the United States. And whereas in this anniversary each year, our nation celebrates African American heritage, history, freedom, and culture with events and ceremonies that reflect the power of community, family, art, and tradition in the face of oppression. And whereas the town of Farmington has joined together with surrounding Farmington Valley towns to provide the annual Juneteenth celebration featuring music, activities, and food on June 20th, 2026 at Simsbury Meadows Performing Arts Center. Now therefore be it resolved that the Farmington Town Council encourages the people of Farmington to join in celebrating Juneteenth as a day to honor and reflect on the significance of all African Americans in the history of the United States. Dated this 9th day of June 2026 at Farmington, Connecticut, Brian Connolly, Chair, Farmington Town Council.
Thank you, Dave. All right, let's move on to item D, public hearing. Before we get started, no public hearing, I'm sorry. There are no new items. And now on to public comments is what I was thinking of. So for public comment, I'm curious to know, is there anyone here who wanted to make a comment about the truck stop? Awesome. And is there anyone here who wants to make a comment about the new National Land Holdings apartment and condo complex? Anyone here for that? Just so you know, what we're going to be talking about today is language. We won't be really deciding on wetlands or traffic or what the implications are, because that's handled by TPZ. We are going to be talking about the language. So I'm curious to know, what we would be interested in hearing is whether you are for or against this project. That's really what we're kind of trying to talk about today. So if you like, we've got like 3 minutes, and if you don't feel that 3 minutes is enough for you, we'll do an entire 5 minutes. But you're more than welcome to share your thoughts. We look forward to hearing from you. And when you come up to the podium, please give us your name and your address, and you can go. So who would like to get us started? Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Roman. I'm the property owner of 1292, 1294 Slater Road in New Britain, Connecticut. I sent a written submission for public comment to you all. I won't spend the time reading the 4 pages I wrote to you, but I have intervened under SEPA in the wetlands proceeding. I have filed a lot of evidence there. I know that's not the purpose for your meeting today, but I did try to summarize some of that information in the letter I sent to you. We have over 500 people that have signed a petition on change.org to oppose this. It is a drastic change to the conservation plan. There's a reason why there were limitations in the conservation plan for this plot that's right across the street from Batterson Park Pond. And I don't want to take up too much time from the other people that have comments today, but I did wanted to just reflect that I sent you a written letter. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. Is there anyone else who would like to make a comment?
I don't know if I'm going to go over or not. I generally ramble.
It's okay. I'm
sometimes,
sorry,
but
your
it is
name
what
and
it is.
address?
Dave Hutchison, 41 Crescent Avenue, Farmington.
Thanks, Dave.
Hi. I'm going to preference this with a strong opposition to the truck stop. And the reason why is when we came to this country, I lived in Hartford. I learned how to swim at Batterson Park. I spent 25 years, maybe closer to 30, working EMS in the city of Hartford and into West Hartford. My kids were born and raised in Farmington. And in my younger days, I've been an over-the-road truck driver. So I've been to a lot of truck stops, and I've seen a lot of dirty ones. My major concern is we have a beautiful asset on our town border called Batterson Park. I've taken my kids boating there, and we've gone fishing there, and ice fishing. The problem is that we have a lot of inner city kids who have no place to go. And some people might not care about that. But when you spend the amount of time I did in the city of Hartford, you care. If you don't care, you're in the wrong business. Farmington has a lot of kids looking for things to do too. Winding Trails is booked up solid. I'd like to see the energy of these towns put forth to make the water in Batterson Park clean and swimmable and turn that into a recreational area for the families that will consider all the towns involved. If we go to a truck stop, I don't think that's going to happen. I'm worried about ecological events happening in that water. I'm also a volunteer fireman. I've seen damage from fluid leaks in this town and other towns as well. I don't know why, if there's no discussion on policy or movement, I don't know why we're here. But I heard about it, and I decided to come down for it. if there's any input from you guys, and we made any impact, and if the audience impact is the same as mine, opposed to it, I'm going to ask you to strongly lobby against it. That is too nice of a resource to be anywhere near a truck stop. And why Hartford gave up some of that land for the pension fund makes no sense to me, but not my business. Not my business. But that is a gem that we can't let go at all. And if we care about the youth and we talk about the trouble that kids are in, they need to get a fishing rod and a worm or go out swimming in a boat. And when I go down, you guys might not know this, but I like to eat a lot, and one of my favorites is ice cream. I go down to Frisbee's quite often. Sometimes, though, you got to dodge the go-karts, the mini bikes, and everything else.
All right, thank you.
I don't see that. I got 5, I think, don't I, if I have to?
What we're gonna do is that we'll do the first 3, and if you would mind.
Okay, if you can give me 2 more seconds, that's all I'm going to tell. That's all I need.
You go.
If that gas station of Nobles is any indication of the future for that truck stop, it's going to be the same thing down there. Now's the time to nip it in the bud. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dave. We appreciate it. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to make a comment? Please. Name and address. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Liz Bennett. I live at 46 Mountain Road. I'm going to yield most of my time, but I would like to register my strong opposition to the truck stop project. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Appreciate it. Is there anyone else in chambers who would like to make a comment? Please. And welcome. Give us your name and address.
Hi, I'm Melinda Pritz, and I live at 2 Nadia's Way. And I'm returning tonight to talk about another issue, but I do want to let you know that as a part of what I'm talking about tonight, I started a petition that has 550 signatures, and I was able to talk to several people that signed that petition who also signed Stephanie's petition. And so I'm aware that many people are also in opposition to the truck stop, and I personally am in opposition as well. So I wanted to share that. So tonight, what I came up to talk about, again, for you all, is Tinty Park. And I understand that the council feels as though this is a closed issue. And the reason that I am back here tonight is because I have, in essence, become the de facto voice of a neighborhood coalition for members of the Main Street, Nadia's Way, Old Canal Crossing, Farmstead Lane neighborhood, and also beyond. So to be clear, although I understand it is on the agenda tonight in terms of the town manager update related to the legal opinion, as was previewed last meeting, and thank you for doing that. We are glad to have heard already a little bit of it, and we are looking forward to hearing more tonight. I am referring to such consideration even into the future. And we've had some conversation. We understand the limits of the council members and what you all can do. And I still wanted to come up tonight and to express what has been expressed to me from the larger neighborhood, and again, the 550 people now that have signed this petition, and many individuals that have, through this petition, the capacity to reach out to me and have shared their concerns. 45 of those individuals have signed this petition since you announced last week the legal opinion. And so to be clear, even though I think it may feel to you all like it's a closed issue and that the legal opinion makes very clear that this is something that's just not going to happen, the larger neighborhood is still very concerned about it. And what we're looking for is for the council to come together and to, as our elected officials, help guide us in some way around how we can ensure that this will not pop up again in any way, shape, or form. And again, we understand as elected officials, you are not zoning, you are not planning, you are not the conservation committee. We know what you cannot do, but we are looking for what you can do. And so far, what we have heard is a legal opinion, and what we have heard is from Kathy, the town manager, and thank you for your emails, we do appreciate that. But again,
Time, just,
thank you. Okay.
but
thank
thank
you.
you for your comments. And
Thank
if you want, after everyone has spoken, you can come back for another 2 minutes, so I'm not trying to shut you down.
Okay.
I'm just trying to give everyone a fair opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
But I will invite you back, for sure.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Here.
Is there anyone else in chambers who would like to make a comment about anything? Please come up.
Hi, my name is Katie Munslice. I live at 80 Alexander Road in New Britain, Connecticut. I firmly oppose a diesel truck stop and warehouse being built on the wetlands next to Batterson Park. This area is zoned residential, and that's me. I live in that residence. I live approximately 1 mile away from where this truck stop is being proposed. I grew up in New Britain. I walked to Pulaski Middle School, which is also about a mile away from where this truck stop is being proposed. I can't imagine now children walking to and from school with semi-trailers and big rigs on the road with them. It's just not appropriate. My husband and I just 2 months ago closed on our home, thinking it would be the perfect place to raise our 2 children. And now we're extremely concerned that this nightmare is going to come true, that we're going to be raising our children next to a truck stop. As you can imagine, it's terrifying. So I'm here asking for your help, and I'm here to put a face on the residents of New Britain who don't want this. If you look at all of the things online, the petitions, if you look at the wetland commissions, the submissions that have been there, people are opposing this. If people in Farmington are opposing it, it's a wildly unpopular idea. All the money that's just gone into Batterson that people are speaking of, the damage to the wetlands, this just doesn't make sense. It's not for us. It's not for our community. It's not for Farmington. Farmington is known for the open air spaces that you have. We spend a lot of time over here. I recently taught at Miss Porter's as a guest teacher. It's a lovely community here. We love it. And I just can't imagine that now Farmington is going to be known as the home of the truck stop off I-84. I can't believe that that's what you envision for your communities. You're all up here to help your community, to serve your community, and I just can't believe I don't believe that that's what you want for your communities. Mike Frisbee doesn't care about the community. Nowhere in the paperwork that's been submitted tonight for the agenda, nowhere in that application or proposal does it say that this is a community need or a community want. He tried this in Canton in 2021. The residents all came together. Avon, Simsbury, Canton residents came together. Their town council voted unanimously and stopped the proposal from happening. Those towns are doing just fine. They're growing and thriving without a truck stop. Farmington will continue to grow and thrive. You have a variety of businesses already. You have families that move here for the safe neighborhoods, the historic charm. You don't need a truck stop. You're going to continue to be a destination place without a truck stop. And lastly, I just want to say I'm sure you have to weigh economic growth. There is no price tag. There is no price tag that you can put on my children and you can put on my neighbors. There's no price tag. There's no benefit. So I'm urging you, please stop this. You guys, literally, you have the power in your hands. You're controlling my future and my children's future, and I'm begging you to please just stop this. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Appreciate it. Is there anyone else who would like to make a comment? Please come up.
My name is Ramesh Patel, and I have lived at 8 Nadia's Way for nearly 10 years. And I'm surprised, now that town owns the Tinty property, I would like to respectfully raise the concern shared by many nearby residents, And over the 8 years, I thought before 8 years this is all resolved, but it came back again. And I understand the town recent legal opinion indicates that the town is not legally obligated to provide cemetery. Given that understanding and considering that this issue has already been raised and set aside multiple occasions, I respectfully ask whether the town can take a step to ensure that future residents and future council do not have to revisit the same question again. Specifically, is it possible to place a restriction in the deed language, conservation protection or a legal mechanism for property for the future residents. Town official and town member do not have to revisit this again and again. So I hope the town will consider lasting solution that honor the long-term vision for this property, provide the certainty for the future generation, and prevent this issue from having to be revisited again by future council. Mr. Tinti is not here to, say his voice for this property. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Ramesh. Appreciate your comments. Is there anyone else who would like to make a comment?
My name is Mary Monsees, and I live at Huber Street, New Britain, Connecticut, and I want to go on record as saying I vehemently oppose this project, and I hope that you do consider the quality of life for the people who are in both communities. There's a lot of people in Farmington against this, as well as in New Britain, and I mean, we have 4 schools within a 5-mile radius of this. Look up the stats on human trafficking and drug stops. And I like truckers, but this is not safe. This is not a good project for our communities. That's it.
Thank you. I appreciate your comments. Thanks, Mary. Anyone else in chambers would like to make their initial comment? Hi.
I'm an outsider.
You're welcome. Outsiders are welcome.
So I'm Marissa D'Amico from Playville, Connecticut.
Sorry, your first name, your name?
Marissa D'Amico.
Marissa. Oh, Marissa. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm actually here representing my new friends who I found out through someone in Westbrook, Connecticut, that my uncle's property that was donated, who's Donald Tinty, I'm his niece. I understand it's off the table, and I'm sorry if I get teary-eyed, but this is so heartbreaking to me, because if you understood what that property meant to my family, I still go there, just for the memories. My grandfather, Joe Tinty, who's given a lot, and we still do through the Tinty Foundation, the only thing we ask for is respect. That property was to be stayed as a park, and I know you guys don't have any control of it, because whoever these cemetery people are, I want to talk to them, because I don't ever want this on the table again. My grandfather was sitting there in his deathbed watching hot air balloons land there. That was his dream, is that property always stayed for people like the neighborhood there, Farmington, to enjoy it, like we did as kids growing up, as my uncle did, as my aunt, who's still living and unfortunately can't be here, so I represent the family at this point. She has dementia. As I was telling her on her good days, she broke down and cried. That property, it has meaning. It's not a cemetery. It has meaning. It has life. It doesn't have death there. And I understand that, people need to be buried, but there's got to be another solution. And I'm just asking that this never comes back up on the table again. And I need to know who I need to talk to, because if I have to bring attorneys in, and I'm not threatening you guys, because I know you guys, are hands are tied, but I need to ensure that they're protected and that my family's protected forever, that people can enjoy that for what it was designed for. It wasn't designed to be a cemetery. It was designed for people to run their dogs, hot air balloons to land there and have a safe haven or take off there. It was for enjoyment. And we all know that we've lost people in our lifetime. That's not an enjoyment, right? That's not what it was meant to be for. So I ask that if it ever gets brought back up on the table as a representative of the Tinty family, we want to know, because we will fight this, whatever we need to do to prevent this from happening. I'm sorry if I'm getting all teary-eyed, but it's very sensitive to me. And I've got to meet great friends from this whole thing. And it's sad that I had to hear this from someone from Westbrook, Connecticut, who knew my uncle and was devastated when he found out that this was happening. So I actually saw 2 people walking, and I was like, I need to talk to you. I was ready to bang down their doors to find out what was going on. Please, if this ever comes up, Keith, you know me well enough to know, pick up the phone, call me. I don't want to stir up trouble. I want to protect my grandfather's legacy. And like I said, you know what? We've given over $5 million in the Tinty Foundation. I think it's a small little thing to ask for, is to leave something the way it should be.
Thank you, Marissa. I appreciate your comments.
So that's all I.
Is there anyone else in chambers who would like to make a comment?
Hello, I'm Otis Murray. I live at 37 Mountain Road. I'm a sophomore at the high school. Mr. Connolly, I remember you came to my class a few weeks ago. There were so many questions about what to make the town easier to travel in, make it like more activities, more sidewalks. And it just made me thinking because my sister's a 7th grader. She goes to IER, and all the time we go down to Bennett Park. I actually just found out this truck stop thing today, but I felt like with all this, like the truck stop, it's not something we need. I moved here from New York City in, I'd say 2017. I was 8. I came through Noah Wallace. I went through Westwoods. I went through IER, and now I'm here at the high school. I've never felt that this town has ever like shrunk. I've always felt there's a sign of growth in this town. I've never felt there was anything that was needed in this town to be able to push farther than we need. And this truck stop, like what I see from it right now, is a lot of time of, do we need this? What benefits other than it gives the owner profit, and it gives us some profit, but also hurts a lot of other areas of the town. Taking away this park takes away, I'd say, one of the only outdoor lakes that you can have other than Winding Trails and a few other places. Yes, my family is a member of Winding Trails. We go there all the time. And I feel like it's so special being there, being able to have a lake, being able to have a beach, being able to do all these activities. And whenever I bring in guests, they're always like, how do we find this? And then when we go to the park, there's still issues there. There's still a lot of issues there that need to be fixed. But I feel like putting a truck stop there wouldn't help, or anywhere near there would not help the situation, the town, the residents, the children, from IER to the rest of the town. I've been there a few times, but it's not the greatest. I go there fishing sometimes, but there's not much to swim. There's not many other activities to do, but I feel like we have money that we do not need to spend on this truck stop that we can, I'd say, use to put forward to make this town better for everyone else. And even though we may lose a little money just because we don't have a big truck stop here, yes, even though it will bring so many more issues than it will bring money, I don't see any benefit to it at all. But I see benefit to adding to the peoples, adding to be able to bring people into Farmington, to be able to add people to the town, bring people through like tourists. Because I see now a lot of new businesses coming through my town, coming through my area. And I feel like not only does that add to the economy, but also adds to the welfare and the life of people here. Thank you.
Thank you. Otis, I remember you, Otis. Thank you for coming out, and I appreciate your comments. See you again. Is there anyone else in chambers who would like to make a comment? Seeing none, I just want to ask Kat. Oh, wait, Tip. Come on in. Not done yet.
Tim Kelly, 62 Westview, and I'm going to segue off the controversial here. I think sometime during this meeting, you're going to try and set dates for the next budget period. And I know typically we have the budget meetings in March, and then we meet it up and vote in April. But I think it may be worth looking at pushing that forward a month. And I say that because obviously we've got the time to do it before the July 1st start of a new fiscal year. But that also gives you a chance to see updated first quarter inflation numbers, forward outlooks on that, as well as interest rates, which are key factors going into any budget. You'll get a better idea of expected state funding levels, so less of a question mark there. Should have a clearer picture of the current school surplus funds as well as the enrollment for the new year. Again, important issues. And it'll just give you extra time to consider your strategy options coming into a big property reval year and have as much data as possible on the table. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Tim. Is there anyone else in chambers who would like to make comment?
Since I cut off Tim last time as he was coming up here, I figure it was only fair to let Tim go first this time. Anyway, Jay Toolin, 39 Timberline Drive. And again, I have notes to help me. At the last council meeting, I spoke briefly about the legacy of former Farmington resident Abraham Greenberg and the impact a gentleman named Baron DeHirsch had on his life through his generosity. Tonight, I come before you to speak a little bit more, or if I could digress to another Yiddish term, a bissel more, because I got so many comments about using the term macher last time, about the Jewish legacy in Connecticut, actually historically little of which existed in Farmington back then, and more about the impact Baron DeHirsch had through his generosity. Jews from Europe emigrated to many parts of Connecticut more conducive to farming than Farmington did at the time. And that was the intent, as I mentioned last time, of Baron DeHirsch's fund, was to help with farming, and that's how Abraham Greenberg was able to benefit from that. They immigrated to many other parts of Connecticut, like I said, more conducive to farming than Farmington. Interesting that the name of the town is Farmington, but I'm just saying. Baron DeHirsch's funding provided purchasing farms, farm equipment, and household furniture throughout Connecticut. And I think that's a really important part of his legacy that also contributed to the legacy of Mr. Greenberg. To that end, I continue to believe it's essential to proactively address the significance of Jewish American Heritage Month, like I mentioned before, which is in May. We're not in May anymore, but I still think it's important to address that and share the legacies that actually exist in Farmington, more so than a lot of people actually realized. As I previously mentioned in the past, plans are basically all set for a heritage event that I've been planning since October 7th, 2023, with the cooperation of our Historical Society to enlighten and educate our community more about the significant history that does exist in Farmington, including Abraham Greenberg and many other stories. There are several other stories to be told. I will continue to bring this before the council, and I guess I'm getting maybe a little more comfortable speaking in public, but anyway. I also have pictures of Baron DeHirsch that I will send, that I found, and I wasn't able to get to you tonight, but I will send them just so that they're on the record of what we're talking about. As always, thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Jay.
Yep.
Is there anyone else in chambers who would like to speak? All right, Kat, do we have anybody online who would like to speak?
Yes, we do have one hand raised. Angela P.
All right, Angelo, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
We can. Thank you for joining us, Angela.
Hi, my name is Angela Presh. I live at 12 Bonnie Drive. I'm here to oppose the truck stop and warehouse that is potentially proposed in my neighborhood. The thing I pose to you guys is this is something that doesn't meet the wetland codes. They're asking for a zoning change. Citizens who own homes here, we need to follow the rules, the town codes, the regulations, but it seems like when companies and developers come in, all they have to do is file an application, ask for a change of the code, ask for permission for change of coding, of zoning, and they get what they need. The goalpost is constantly being moved to an easier location for that field goal for commercial properties, and residents still have to follow those rules. I'd ask for you to have them follow the same rules that we follow when it comes to wetlands, and also for them to think about areas that have already been paved within this area that are underdeveloped or may potentially need to be redeveloped. We have a lot of areas that are blighted and are blacktopped in our neighborhood. And to put another blacktop in our neighborhood onto the wetlands would be an awful shame. I've worked in warehouses before. They don't belong in residential neighborhoods. I've worked in 5 different warehouses before, some of them long-term warehouses, some of them hubs like they are proposing. All of them were in industrial developments. They were not in a zone where there were housing. Trucks were not coming in and out in the middle of the night. When you have a short-term hub like they're proposing, trucks come in the middle of the night and unload, and that stuff gets reloaded onto trucks during the day. So you essentially have a 24-hour warehouse, things coming in, things coming out. That's not something conducive to somebody sleeping 500 feet away. Please consider opposing this truck stop. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Angela. Is there anyone else online?
I do not see any other hands raised.
All right. Does everyone feel like we are all set? Going once, going twice? All right, thank you, everyone. Appreciate everyone coming in and giving us your comments. We're going to close public comment now and move on. Thank you very much. Let's move on to G, the reading of the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the May 12th, 2026 regular town council meeting minutes.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, I have a couple changes. In item H, A, and HB, Kathy's name is misspelled, should be an I at the end. And then in item M11, that first paragraph where it says Ms. Boy Williams also noted that the library, that should be Ms. Canto noted that the library will undergo changes.
All right, is there any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of accepting the minutes with the changes?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Unanimously accepted. Thank you. Next, item G2.
I make a motion that the May 26th, 2026 regular town council meeting minutes be approved.
Second.
Further discussion?
Yes. Item E, Kathy's last name needs to be corrected.
Any further discussion? Okay, all those were in favor of accepting the minutes with changes?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimously accepted. Okay, let's move on to H. And Kathy, I'm going to turn it over to you for the report of the town manager.
Sure. You have the written report in front of you. So a couple of items. Just want to make a reminder for everyone for the American 250th celebration. It's going to be on June 26th with the rain date of June 27th. And Brian, I'm sure you're going to talk about it later too, but the committee is working hard and we're really excited about it. So hopefully everyone has that on their calendar to come to the Farmington and Avon celebration. Juneteenth. So someone mentioned it earlier today, and the event will be held on Saturday, June 20th from 5:30 p.m. to 9 p.m., rain or shine. And so admission is free. And again, I hope that it's being at the Simsbury Meadows. So this is a joint activity. So I hope that many residents can go to that. Next item is the summer concert series, and you can see we had a nice flyer that we've made up. So that's something new that they've been doing, kind of showing all the different summer events together, which I thought was a nice improvement, having it all in one place for the different things. So that's Nancy and her group have been doing that. So there's quite a lot of events going on through June through August 20th. So summer concerts and some things at Westwood's Golf Course at Westwood's Golf Course and Carol's Lunchbox. And the last item is the legal opinion for the Tinty the Tinty property. I could make just a couple of general comments if you wanted me to about that, maybe just some clarity. So one of the things is that this is a legal opinion. It was quite clear that a cemetery cannot go on Tinty property. So, that's a clear direction. So that will be attached to the files and everything that goes with it. It'll be we can put it with the deed and everything like that. So, and the other thing that I just want to make sure it's clear is that it's this body that does what goes on to the Tinty property. It may have to go through approvals, but this is the body that decides. So some comments that said if the cemetery association said X or the cemetery, it's not the cemetery association, it's this body. So just for clarity with the neighborhood on that. It's also the legal opinion in me when I spoke with the attorney, it's very clear that recreation has to be the use on that property, whether it's passive recreation or whatever. It can't be a combination so it has to be recreation. And typically, and this is for your discussion now or at another time, that would be if the council was going to take on something on the Tinty property at this time or any time in the future, it would be in our goals and objectives and things like that, because that's where we're driven to what we're doing, and that's not in our goals and objectives. So to me, at this point, if you ask me if I'm doing anything, or if my staff is doing anything with the Tinty Farm, I'd say no, because it's not in our goals and objectives. And until the council updates the goals and objectives, changes it to put the Tinty Farm on there about what the use would be, I would say there would be no action being taken place. So that's how I see it right now, and I don't know if that's helpful, but that's where I am.
Can I ask two clarifying questions?
Sure.
Kathy, so just for the sake of the discussion, this outcome is dramatically different than the outcome 8 years ago, correct?
Correct.
And it's because 8 years ago, essentially it was kind of punted on, no action was taken. And at that time, we decided not to go forward with anything, not to investigate anything any further.
At that point, they were looking for other pieces of property, and that was what the direction was. They said, put the Tinty property to the side and let's look at other properties. So the other thing Keith, to be clear too, is that we now, and I think Patty had asked for this, and I think it was important to have that as part of the legal opinion, is that the town is not obligated to have a town cemetery. And so that's a whole other policy decision that would have to be made. And again, that goes back to the goals and objectives, because that takes time. It takes a lot of different things. And so at this point in time, the council has a couple of things they have to decide. One is that I think that we've determined really there's not any available land unless we purchase it. And two, the other thing we'd have to determine is that if we do want a town cemetery, we're probably going to have to purchase land, or we don't want to have a future town cemetery. And that's a policy decision for the council.
So, yeah, it's fine. Because that was one thing that I've been talking to residents, why this is different. It's like 8 years ago. We're in 8 more years. And I just want to ask one question about when you say council's decision to what happens to the thing. That doesn't mean that council can then, in 8 years from now, say we want a cemetery there, because that wouldn't be appropriate use based on the deed. It means we would decide, are we leaving it as is, or are we going to pursue public recreation in a broader sense, and what that could look like, whether it's a soccer field or none of this has happened or been discussed. I'm just spitballing. I'm just saying, so that would be a council decision.
Yeah, and it's thank you for clarifying that, because when I do say it's the council's discussion based on what the legal opinion says and what the deed says.
Based on what we are legally allowed to do. And cemetery is not one of those things.
Correct.
Can I just jump in with some kind of clarify? There's a lot of things, a lot of concepts being discussed. I just want to make sure, because there's people in the audience, I think, that are listening to what we're saying and may not all be registering exactly what we're trying to say. So just to be clear, for a cemetery to ever be on Tinty property, we would first have to make a determination that the town has a responsibility to establish a cemetery.
Yes.
Right? And then that would have to be that. After that, then we would, in the beginning of the year, at our meetings when we talk about goals and objectives, we would put into that plan, we're going to go out and figure out what we're going to do about a cemetery. So that would be like a point in the timeline of transparency where people would begin to see, oh, this is happening. Or this might be happening. So even after that's done, then we would have to consider all the potential properties where that cemetery may lie. And if we turned again, for some reason, back to the Tinty property, we'd be faced with a legal opinion that was commissioned by this council that basically says you can't use the Tinty property for a cemetery because of the granting language. Because one of the people in public comment had asked if we could do something as a council in terms of a restrictive covenant. There's already a restrictive covenant in the granting document. In other words, and that's the predicate or the basis for the determination that it can't be a cemetery. Because our attorneys have made it very clear, based on how the land was given to us, it's very restrictive and it's recreational and cemetery does not qualify. So all of those things would have to happen, and the Tinty property would still not be a cemetery.
Correct.
Okay. Hopefully
Thank
that
you
might
for that
clarify some things
clarification.
a little bit, but hopefully that sums it up a little
So
bit. That's kind of how I hear it.
So I'd have only one comment because I agree with everything that's been spoken, right? But the only comment I would have, and I'd go back and I appreciate what you said, Kathy, that it would have to be in the plan, so forth and so on, right? But in January, this wasn't in the plan. It didn't exist in the plan, but we're here discussing it. So what I'm saying is, I think from their end, I agree of like a process, and that's the process that I firmly believe in that you give us a strategic plan. We talk about it, it's transparent, we nail it down, we move ahead. But we're here today, on June 9th, and we're coming out of May, that we discussed this, and this isn't on our plan.
Right.
And I think that's the core issue. The core issue is that how did that, and again, we don't need to go back, and I don't want to go back, but there was a breakdown there, and I'm not sure where that breakdown was, but at the end of the day, I think we had the best outcome, and I agree with Bill that it's pretty clear cut, that it's in the granting document. We have an interpretation on the granting document, so I do think this issue is closed for the Tinty property. But I do think we need to reflect and make sure that if we truly are saying that that's our roadmap for the year, we shouldn't be in a situation that we find ourselves in today.
Right. And again, if I can just make some clarification on that, because I think it is important to clarify it, is that this project has been going on for years and years and years. And we left off because we bought a piece of property, the Bland property, and it had been on the strategic plan for many years. And so we've been working on it, but not everything goes on the strategic plan. But we had been left prior with the prior town council to evaluate that property, the Bland property, and to look at the Tinty property again. And so the reason why it came to the council was because I was concerned about bringing it to the council without having it on the plan and doing it and having some discussion at the council level. So again, typically not every single thing of going and getting a legal opinion or doing would be on the plan. And so again, I totally get your point and what you're saying.
Right.
But also,
and I understand the history that you just said, and I understand how it could evolve to this. But when we say, so I think it's just one of those things where if I was there and I was a neighbor and I said like, well, geez, it wasn't in the plan, early 2026, and here we are.
If I say
But I do think we did everything we needed to do. And I think the granting document has been interpreted and it's clear. And I think Patty had the wherewithal to ask whether we need a cemetery. Are we obligated? I think we've answered that question. So I think we're in a great
And I do
spot.
want to just add on top of that the reason that it came up at all is because Kathy and her staff were doing their due diligence on the different properties out there. They've done their due diligence and they're drilling on all of them. The one that they did not do was on Tinty Farm, and at that point we did not have a legal opinion. So we had discussed maybe we should go and drill there and check. And I did say, and this is on me, I said, because we've gone down this road, we have to at least let people know that we're going to be drilling because they're going to see a drill there. So let's be transparent. And that is something that we came here to do. And we said, let's be transparent and let them know that that is what we're considering. And that is when you came down and talked. And I will say thanks to Dave because he was the one who spoke up and said, we shouldn't really be drilling if we don't have the legal opinion, since we did discuss it. So this was all an effort to be transparent and make sure that we did have the opportunity to talk as a community about what was going on and where we were going. And I think that's really important for all of us. And that's why I so appreciate everyone coming down. And I want to thank everyone for their calls, emails, and their stop-bys on this topic because it's a great conversation to have, and now we know where we all stand. So thank you, everybody. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think you wrapped it up.
All right. So is there anything else to your report?
no, that's it.
Would you like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the report of the town manager.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, unanimous. So let's move on to our next item, which is J, new business.
No,
I'm-
Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, aye.
Unfinished
Sorry.
business.
Unfinished business. Yes, sorry. That's where I meant to go. to unfinished business.
Yep. I make a motion to appoint the fire station building committee members with the following voting members: Brenda Bergeron, Chair, resident of the Fire District for East Farms; Ted Sanford, resident Fire District Farmington; Tim Para, resident Fire District Tungus Hose. And the remainder of what's written here in the agenda was voted on at our last meeting.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? And before I
just want to say, I want to thank these individuals who are stepping up to help us out.
oh, absolutely.
It's a big deal, big commitment.
So on that item, I've been asked to share a little bit about each of these members that have been appointed. So I do want to share our chair, Brenda Bergeron. We were looking for people who had expertise and experience that would certainly lend value to the committee. Brenda Bergeron just retired from the deputy commissioner of the Emergency Management and Homeland Security division here in Connecticut. So she has a lot of experience working with emergency services, with firemen, with EMTs, emergency response, which this is what these firehouses are being built for. So I'm glad we have someone with the expertise and the relationships with people in the business. I think she's going to be a strong, strong leader. In addition, we also have Ted Sanford, who's going to be the representative from the village. And Ted is, in addition to being, I believe he's the CEO of Sanford and Hawley, who was a builder. He has tremendous building experience. And in addition to that building experience, he is a member of the Historic Commission here in Farmington. And one of the reasons I think that's really important in this particular case is we're going to be working on the Farmington Fire Department, which is a historic building. I believe it's on the Historic Registry. Is that correct? So, I think it is.
Yep.
So if we're going to be making changes to that, it would be really beneficial to have someone from the Historic Commission working on that so that we're doing it right the first time and making it efficient. So I thought that was really valuable. Our third representative from the Tungus Fire Hose is Tim Para. And this guy is, I just met him recently, but he has tremendous experience. He works at at Stanley. At Stanley, and his background is in marketing and also in communications and PR and in contracts, which are all components of what this committee is going to have to do as we engage in figuring out what is going to be best for the fire stations in our town. So, are there any questions that you have about any of these folks that would be helpful? But just so you know that we looked not just to put fannies in the seats. We wanted to make sure we had people who had a lot of extensive experience in what we were trying to accomplish. And I think we have found a great team of people who will be able to do that for us. And I know you will be hearing a lot from them as we move forward. Is there any other further discussion about this team? Okay. So, would you like to make a motion?
I did make the motion.
Oh, okay. So second. So yeah. Any further discussion? It sounds like we're ready to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's a unanimous decision. So thank you very much. Now we'll move on to J.
I make a motion to approve the town council meeting schedule for 2027 and to set the date of the annual town meeting as shown in agenda item J1.
Second.
So this is basically keeping to the same schedule we're on right now. And also, just for clarity, our charter is based on what the dates have to be. So we can't really change what these dates are. I mean, we can change the town council meeting schedule, but the budget part. So just to Mr. Kelly's comments.
Mm-hmm. All right. Is there any further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. All right, J2. So as we get on to J2, we will be acting on the CGS 8-23 referral from the Farmington Town Plan and Zone Commission, the TPZ, regarding the proposed amendment to the Plan of Conservation and Development, the POCD, as submitted by National Land Holdings, LLC, as part of their TPZ permitting application for properties located at 1179 Farmington Ave, a portion of 2 Bridgewater Road and 3 Bridgewater Road. I will now ask Kathy Blonsky to provide background regarding this proposed amendment.
So you have the note in front of you. I'm not going to go through everything, but I just want to make a couple of points is that this referral to the town council focuses solely on the POCD edits. So I think that's something to be clarified. The proposed edits to the POCD involve study areas only 9.2 Waterside 10 LLC and 9.3 Plant 17 LLC. Please note there are no proposed edits to 9.1 JRF Management LLC. These proposed edits are put forth to advance the development vision of National Land Holdings. So they've put them forth. So that. Now, per the Connecticut General Statute, the Town Council is to review amendments to the POCD and shall endorse or reject the amendment and may submit comments and recommended changes to the Commission. The Town Planning and Zoning Commission will be holding a public hearing for the POCD amendment and any zone change request, which includes all of the required public notices and signs postings at the property. The hearing is currently scheduled for July 13th, 2026. I thought I'd just maybe do some plain language of the proposed changes, and it's provided solely to aid understanding, and it's not a substitute in the application material, so it's just plain language. So as we talked about before, JRF management, there's no changes. 9.2 Waterside, it's to amend the POC recommendation to designate the vacant land at Midpoint Development District, MDD, rather than Senior Active Adult Zone, SA, to allow for greater flexibility in housing. And the other thing on 9.2 is to modify language to provide greater flexibility to the applicant regarding trail requirements. 9.3 Plant 17 is to modify language to provide less open space requirements to the applicant. For your reference, I've put the 2 general state statutes are included. I'm not going to go through them. But I do want just to make note that this is a referral to the town planning and zoning. So again, it's only referring, just think of when the TPZ, when we send something to them, they decide and then it comes back. I think that obviously the TPZ will look at what you refer, but regardless of what you say, this is a TPZ decision. This is not your decision. So there was a comment that was made that this would be your decision. This is your decision to make a referral. So your potential actions tonight is to issue a positive referral, to issue a positive referral with comments, to issue a negative referral, or you also are allowed to take no action.
All right. Thank you, Kathy. Before we entertain a motion, Shannon Rutherford, the town planner, is present to answer any questions the council may have. Keith, would you like to start off, please?
Yeah, I'll try to be as brief as possible. I think many of us that are here have served on TPZ at some point, so are familiar with Planning, Conservation, Development. I remember when I joined TPZ, I was only there for 2 years, but Barbara Brenneman was the chair, and she was on TPZ for a long, long time. And she would stress to newer commissioners about how important it was to respect the planning from previous commissioners, meaning there was reason and purpose put behind the plan of conservation development, why things are zoned a certain way, things like why there aren't drive-throughs in town, and things like that. That there's real purpose and thought in all those decisions, and they're not done lightly. There's also, I think, all of us that have run for office been aware of. There's not a tremendous amount of people that are really thrilled about excessive development in town, and there's not, I think, a lot of people that are thrilled about additional residential units on Farmington Avenue. There's really no way, if something is zoned for a specific use, for us to keep people from building it how it's zoned for. But a situation like this, where we would need to grant a change to allow, is an easy one, in my opinion, for us to just say no. We're not doing anything wrong. We're not changing anything to affect anyone. We're just saying, no, this is our rule. We're sticking by our rule, and we don't want to go forward with it. So my opinion would be, because these changes essentially would allow for more residential development in that area, correct? If I'm not crazy?
Yes.
And one of the reasons that's supposed to be our classic work, play, live area, right?
Yes.
And I think some of the thought in that is that if it's all residential, that's going to change the scope of what the anticipated traffic was over there. And then also, the town has done a lot to add more affordable housing in recent years, and there's more rentable units in almost every corner of town, with more coming online on Route 6. I would personally love to issue a negative referral on this. I don't think that we need to allow any more residential units there, but I'm open to a discussion.
Okay, thank you. Bill?
Keith is right. I mean, I agree with everything Keith said. I was actually on planning and zoning in 2007 when that plan of conservation development was developed. It would be a stretch to say I can remember all those conversations, given it was 20 years ago. I do remember I served with Barbara, and I served with Skip Podson, another great public servant to our community, and talking about that area of town. There was concern about the river, how wet it is, and I know it's not really our province for that, to have our conversation here. We're really just talking about the language, our thoughts on the proposed language from the applicant, and I worry about how that would disrupt traffic flows in a significant way. I worry about impacts to the schools where those kids are going to go to school. So for a lot of reasons, and that's why we had the plan set up the way we have, and through various iterations over the second iteration, it didn't change. And to your point, Keith, there's a reason for that. And so I share Keith's objection, and I would absolutely support a negative referral on this particular application.
All right, Bill, appreciate it. Thank you. Patty?
Shannon, I do have a question. I have to make sure we're here for a reason, right? Where are we in the current, I know we're doing a new plan of conservation and development. Where are we in that process?
We're at the very beginning. We're still in the consultant selection process.
Okay.
So we are anticipating having interviews by the end of June, and then be before you hopefully in July, and if not in July, then in September, to get endorsement on the selected consultant and the fee associated with that consultant. And then it'll be approximately a year process to take us through the middle of 27 with adoption of the plan by the end of 27 and having it in place for 2028.
Thank you. So effectively, all of these changes that all these sections that they're asking for changes to are going to be reviewed as part of, it'll be as part of the development or revision of the POCD. All of these sections, I presume, are going to be reviewed.
The entirety of the POCD will be.
Right.
Correct. So existing conditions and then future looking forward. Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Shane.
Certainly.
So my, I don't think that, there's a statement from the applicant in one part that the proposed amendment is consistent with the intention of the original recommendation. And I disagree that it's consistent. The deletion of majority of land acquired as open space and changing that to preserve a significant amount of open space, I think, differs significantly from what the intent is. Additionally, I do have concerns about changing the statement regarding trail connections and connectivity. We are actively reviewing sidewalks and whether or not we need that, how we're going to address the ordinance, what we're going to be doing in town. And the sidewalk along the Route 4 frontage, I think if it was determined as part of the review and the creation of the plan of conservation and development was determined to be needed, it should continue to be needed. That shouldn't be changed. I also think that because the plan of conservation and developments for the full town, changes should be reviewed holistically, not individually, site by site, not on an applicant by applicant basis. The purpose of the plan of conservation is to have a vision for the whole town and not to have applicants come in and say, well, this is how we need it to be revised for our property. I think the plan of conservation as written is exactly how it should continue to be written until there is an opportunity for this full wholesale review. For that reason, would support a negative referral to TPZ. And I think the purpose of our discussion today is the POCD revisions, but I also agree with comments from Bill and Keith about the suitability of just the proposed projects overall and the fact that it doesn't fit with Farmington character.
Thank you, Pat.
You
Dave,
want to start down there and come back?
I can do that. Bruce, would you like to go next?
Certainly. Before coming to council, I was most recently served on planning and zoning, and this particular developer came for an informal review of this project while I was on the commission, and they were rejected back then, and I guess they're back hoping to see if they can make additional progress with new people. It was rejected for all the reasons that have been mentioned: traffic, school, POCD consistency, but also the floodplain issue should not be given a short shrift here. It's been 70 years since the flood of 55, and that 100-year flood line is there. It would be galactically stupid to let this thing go ahead. And I'm sorry if I have particularly strong opinions on that, but I'm about as hard a no on this as you can be, maybe until we get to the next one. Stop there.
Thank you, Bruce.
I'm very much with my colleagues here. I feel, strongly being on the Board of Education, adding more housing, we're just growing in leaps and bounds, and we really can't support the infrastructure. And then just don't think that going out of policy and how we review things just for one particular company is really appropriate. We should follow our consistent. If we're going to be doing it, do it all together. So I'm a negative concern.
All right. Thank you, Nadine. Dave?
Yeah, I think everybody has said everything that I think, crosses my mind. Obviously, the process should play out with Shannon's group now, with, updating the POCD. I don't think at this point it'd be beneficial for us to tackle something of this scale, with some changes that close to us, the plan being updated. And I think the other thing too is, back to what, Keith was saying about, we've done a great job in developing, a number of residential opportunities. Just Trailside last week the ribbon was cut over on New Britain Avenue. We've been lucky where these developments have come at very strategic locations, kind of on our perimeter. You know what I mean? So Trailside gets developed, but you can get to Route 6. You can take New Britain Avenue. Olmsted gets developed down by Batterson Park, but it's an office park where people can easily get through and get in and out, right? And that happens in a lot of our new developments. You have Up House at the old Marriott. This one, when you look at the graphic, this one's in the center. This one is smack in the center of our town. And it is literally, it's got some great opportunity for, I believe, the river and all the different natural resources that are connected to this parcel, but it's got the traffic on Route 4. And I just think that, I am firmly with my other colleagues on a negative referral for this.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I love that we're all of a similar making. I mean, one thing I have learned over the last few months is we all look at what is best for the town. We also look at what's best for individuals. That's who we serve. But we also look at this entire town holistically as what's really best for the town. Is this really in our best interest is the question that comes to mind. And I think for me, like the rest of you, making any changes just to the language, because that's all we're here for, making these changes. Do we change the rules for this one folk? So that's a great point you made, Patty. This is for the town. This is not for the piece of property. So let's focus on what's best for the town. Would you like to make a motion?
I would. I make a motion to issue a negative referral to TPZ regarding the attached proposed amendment to the Plan of Conservation and Development as submitted by National Land Holdings, LLC, as part of their TPZ permitting application for properties located at 1179 Farmington Ave, portion of 2 Bridgewater Road and 3 Bridgewater Road.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Are all in favor of the motion as presented by Patty?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are unanimous, so thank you very much for that, folks. let's move on to J3. J3. We'll discuss the consideration of acting on the CGS 8-23 referral from Farmington Town Plan and Zoning Commission, the TPZ, regarding the proposed amendment to the Plan of Conservation and Development, the POCD, as submitted by Noble Energy Real Estate Holding, LLC, as part of their TPZ permitting application for the property located at 8261 Finneman Road. And I will now ask Kathy Blonsky to provide background regarding this proposed amendment.
So again, this is the same sort of referral, so I won't go through the details. It's the same as the last one, but I do want to do the plain language summary of the proposed changes, again, only on the POCD, and it's provided solely to aid understanding. Again, my caveat, it's not a substitute for the application materials, which should be reviewed for the applicant's exact language. So it should be noted that the highlighted sections of the attached relate to the POCD amendment. The applicant is removing the recommendation to develop this parcel as office, research, and development or affordable housing, and is recommending commercial development at this location. So it's zoned as office, research, development, or affordable housing, and it's recommending a change to commercial development. The applicant further expands the recommendation for this parcel to include warehouse use. And then again, I have the references of the state statute, and the possible actions again is to issue a positive referral, to issue a positive referral with comments, to issue a negative referral, or take no action.
All right, before we entertain a motion, Shannon Rutherford, Town Planner, is present to answer any questions the council may have. Bruce, I'd like to start down at your end if you'd like.
Surely, thank you, Brian. You know, as a council representative, I see that there's three different types of people that interact with us. There are those who are active citizens and are very plugged in and engage with us frequently, and it's good that they do that. And then there's groups of people who are passionate about an issue because it touches them personally, because they're passionate about it for a variety of different reasons, and it's fitting and purposeful that they should do that. But then there's the third type of issue that breaks through into the general population, which usually doesn't get involved. And this is one of those issues where people are stopping me in the street to talk about this one. The guy who cuts my hair, barely aware that we have town, brings it up. Why are you guys doing this? So, you know, as an RN representative, I am representative of all of those people. And there is absolute clarity beyond a reasonable doubt that the town does not want this. So I'm a hard no on this going forward. The same reasons, you know, for POCD discussion and others apply to what we're talking about here. But this is just beyond the pale for us. So definite no.
All right, thank you, Bruce. Nadine?
Having, living on that side of the town in my entire life, and frequented Batterson Park as a child and live there still today, I'm completely opposed to move forward with this recommendation. I'm concerned about the safety, concerned about the development. I think we could use the money to really look at Batterson Park and making that a better park, and not everybody can go to winding trails. So I just don't feel like this is really the location to change the town, to have these changes made.
All right, thank you, Nadine.
Yep.
Dave?
Yeah, I certainly agree with the colleagues to my right, for sure, about this proposal. And I would just agree. I mean, I grew up in New Britain, McKinley Drive, right off of Farmington Avenue. And, I would come up the opposite direction of Farmington Avenue up to Batterson Park. And, that's kind of where I'm going to depart, is where Batterson Park has been kind of a situation, perfectly situated, but basically at a real crossroads for a number of years. And it's taken our town, the city of New Britain, to really think about it. There was an opportunity to maybe have a partnership there. That didn't play out, and it lay dormant still. We had some residents that took the initiative to try to reinvigorate the space, and we solved it by having the state come in through Riverfront Recapture and taking it over. And I think it's going to be a real asset for New Britain and Farmington and the greater greater part of Connecticut. Hartford, we don't want to lose what this gentleman said earlier tonight about Hartford and people having the opportunity to go there and have passive recreation. So with that said, we just are getting this right, and to have this development come along and ask for certain changes to the POCD to allow it, I just don't see it, because it's just one of those things that we're at a great spot right now with the renovation of Batterson Park and what could come out of Batterson Park. Maybe the water quality gets even better, and I just think that this is just the wrong step in the direction that we want to go at.
Thank you, Dave. Patty?
So, the plan of conservation and development contemplates that this parcel will be continued to be used for recreational purposes. It says so right in the POCD. And the POCD also acknowledges that Batterson Park impacts must be considered. Presumably, the POCD policies that the applicant is proposing to change were developed with these considerations in mind. The POCD specifically contemplates specific types of commercial use, office or research purposes. And so the applicant's proposed change that this would be well suited for commercial development goes above and beyond that and disregards the considerations that are stated in the POCD. In 2018, there was an addendum to the POCD that acknowledged the challenges of office development, and the applicant points this out, that the city of Hartford has been unable to find a developer who can use this property for that purpose. But instead of expanding the types of commercial development to be considered, the addendum in 2018 proposed considering residential use of the property. They didn't consider expanding it to something broader. As you can tell, I'm going to the POCD and what I think it says and what it means and what we should be doing as a body. The applicant made comments about how there's not enough water supply to support the residential development that's contemplated by the POCD. I question whether or not they have water supply to do what they need to do, but that's not before this body. So like the TPZ addendum in 2018, where they considered the changes for the actuality, i.e. the difficulty in developing office space, the challenges of a residential development in terms of water supply should also be considered by TPZ, and it should not be something that is decided for one applicant. Based on how the plan of conservation and development was drafted based on the addendum in 2018, it's clear to me that this proposed use is not contemplated by the plan of conservation and development. And as I said with the prior one, the plan of conservation and development needs to be considered on a holistic basis. It needs to be considered townwide, not site by site. And this proposed change would have a significant impact on the town of Farmington. And for that reason, I support a negative referral.
Appreciate it, Patty. Bill?
So we get, I'm still learning a lot about what it's like to be on town council. And one of the things is we get updates and emails from the town manager's office regarding like various hearings and committee meetings. And so planning and zoning updates come to us, and the agendas come to us. And I'll be perfectly honest, sometimes I get to see it timely and sometimes I don't, right? So I was on Facebook probably about 4 weeks ago, and I see the Friends of Batterson Park post, and I see this kind of link to the Patch article, I think it was. And I remember I called Bruce. I'm like, "Is this a thing? Is this a thing? You're talking about a truck stop?" and then I dug into it and I read my materials and I got to understand a little. He's like, "Oh yeah, it's a thing." And I said, "All right." So then I dug into it, and I want to dovetail a little bit on what Patty said, because focusing on the specific language that's being proposed is really where I really want to approach this. There's some language in one of the proposed amendments to the 2007-2016 POCD where they suggest that we should add this following language: that Finneman Road is well suited for commercial development with frontage, a secondary arterial road carrying over 10,000 vehicles a day. Let's assume that's true. I don't think that's true. Let's assume that Finneman Road carries that much traffic. How is it a good idea to add truck traffic, right? And someone said 24-hour a day, because it's going to be evening deliveries and morning taken off. I agree with everything everyone has said here. And to Patty's earlier point, we're doing a completely comprehensive review of the plan of conservation and development that's going to take place over the next 2 years. All of these things are going to be considered. And my last comment is, one of the themes of this applicant is that the reason we should change it is because the market has changed. And the original POCD, which had called for like office space and research facility, that doesn't, there's no demand for that. It's been 20 years. And therefore, we should update it to include, heavy industrial, basically, commercial development. I want to say heavy industrial, commercial development. My feeling is if things have changed that much, we've got that beautiful piece of land. And to your point earlier, sir, about the beauty of Batterson Park and the fact that there's so many people in this room that used that when they were children, and that we're talking, and the conversation in public right now is what can we do to enhance the water supply and clean the, it seems completely counterintuitive. And with conversations at the state level where they're talking about acquiring some of that land, it's completely counterintuitive to me to even begin to consider the notion of a truck stop right off of 84. It's a hard no for me.
Thank you, Bill. Keith?
There's nothing left to be said. So I completely agree with Bill, Patty, everybody else that spoke. Our discussion is supposed to be rooted in the plan of conservation development. I think currently it's not zoned for this. I certainly wouldn't want to positively refer that. I would align with everybody else. It would be a negative referral.
Thank you, Keith. Interesting, we have these two proposals tonight at the same evening. And how important is it that what we're trying to do is preserve and conserve what's going on in Farmington, as has been done for us to this day? We need to continue that. And there's language changes that don't help the town, they help the piece of property. And we're here to represent and protect and serve the town. So I am also a hard no on this one. So
I make a motion to issue a negative referral to TPZ regarding the attached proposed amendment to the Plan of Conservation and Development as submitted by Noble Energy Real Estate Holdings, LLC, as part of their TPZ permitting application for the property located at 8261 Finneman Road.
Second.
Any further discussion?
I have one question. Maybe it's so because we on both these we are just negative referrals. So do we need? We don't need to provide any context for. We're just saying that we're negatively referring it based on town planning and zoning language. We're not adding comment. Negative referral. Right. We're good with that.
Yes.
Beautiful. As long as I just want to make sure we all know what we're doing, or I know what we're doing. You guys all know what we're doing.
Thank you for clarifying. But yeah, that's important to note. But yeah, all those in favor of the motion as presented?
Aye.
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 Opposed? It is unanimous. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Shannon.
All righty.
To J4.
Okay, next let's go on to J4, which is
I make a motion to approve property tax refunds as shown in the agenda.
Second.
any discussion? So all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. So number 5.
I make a motion to set a public hearing on July 14th, 2026 at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall Council Chambers on the proposed Meadow Road sidewalk project.
Second.
Any discussion?
This public hearing concerns the proposed Meadow Road sidewalk project, option 2. At the May 26, 2026 meeting, the town council gave direction to the town staff to proceed with option 2, sidewalk partially on the north side and partially on the south side of Meadow Road. In accordance with the ordinance, a public hearing must be held prior to the town council taking formal action on the project. Town staff will notify affected property owners of the public hearing and provide information regarding the proposed project.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Let's move on to K, appointments. Do we have any appointments today?
Yeah, K6.
Thank you.
I make a motion that Robert Brochu be reappointed to the retirement board for the balance of a 2-year term beginning immediately and ending January 2028.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
K8, I make a motion that Joan Valenti be appointed to the Retirement Board for a 2-year term beginning immediately and ending January 2028.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. And that's it for appointments. Let's move on to M, reports of committees and liaison. 1928 building.
We had a meeting just this past week, basically closing out the project. There's some punch list that has to be completed, and the contractor was at the meeting with certain representatives to do that. So I would say the 1928 building is really at a point now where it's just the paperwork and some punch list items that need to be wrapped up. But I think it's in good shape, and there's a few things. There's another furniture delivery I think we anticipate, but those are really where we're at today. So
Oh, that's awesome. Number 2, the Ad Hoc Technology Committee.
Let me bring council up to speed on where we are. The group has met a number of times. We initially got together to take a look at what's out there and scope what we wanted to research. We identified the top providers in the field for municipal websites and technology. We brought them in to interview them and identified strengths and weaknesses with them, grilled them. It's sort of like an interactive RFP mode, if you will, and looking at some of the things they provided. Do they have a 311 system, mass notification systems, search? How can they improve access for our residents? And we found that a number of them had good qualifications. We have our short list. We're going to obtain pricing from all of them, and I think we're just about there. With that, once we have that, we're going to synthesize some options and then come back to council, show what we found and what the costs and benefits would be. And we're very much looking forward to doing that. There's some exciting things out there and really good potential. So I look forward to that eventuality, probably in about a month or so, if we can catch before the summer break.
Awesome. Thank you very much. All right, item 3, the Avon and Farmington America 250th celebration. I got to tell you, I've never been more excited than right now to give you this report, because I can now see this thing in my head. Before it was just ideas on paper. This has taken tremendous shape between Avon and Farmington. Let me paint a picture for you. When you get there, you're going to take a ride into the event space, and there's going to be tables where you can walk around and look at crafters. There's going to be tables where you can meet with all the nonprofits and volunteer organizations in Farmington and Avon and find out about the way that America became what it is today, and that is people stepping up, doing things for their community and for their towns. And these are the opportunities you will have to see what organizations are doing now and how you can participate in them. So that's the work part, but that is really the wonderful part of why we're even celebrating this after 250 years, because of what people have stepped up to do. And because people have stepped up to serve their communities, we now have a kid zone. We have food trucks. We have our volunteer firemen from Avon and Farmington. Our emergency services will be there. And in addition to that, we have 2 different stages having different activities on each stage. Just a tremendous entertainment for you guys. And there's also, of course, going to be Touch a Truck for kids to do that. And there's going to be singing, and there's going to be participation, and there's going to be fireworks. And this is just such an exciting community event. I cannot wait for this to happen. We haven't seen anything of this size around, and we're all going to get to experience that. And I really want you to come out and see what it's all about. It's a tremendous event. Thank you.
there's not a dunk tank for town council.
Kathy, you up
Might
to
be
that? Avon said that was a hard no. So did a lot of people at Farmington. But yeah, this is going to be a tremendous event. We'll see you on the 26th.
Kathy would step up first.
Okay, let's move on to the Board of Ed.
The board met for the last time this school year on June 1st. They handed out a bunch of awards to some worthy high school students who are graduating. They also had some business to take care of. They renewed the superintendent's contract. It's a 3-year renewal. It's a rolling. They renew it every year over 3. In the contract term is 3 years. They concluded an agreement on the nurses' contract for 3 years. They hired during our budget sessions. They had asked for an administrator in special services. They hired that person. That starts on July 1st. They also had a security review. There's a twice-a-year review that's done by the school district, by the Board of Ed. I'm sorry, from what's going on in terms of discipline in the schools, and they had that done as well. And of course, graduation is tomorrow night.
It's supposed to be good weather.
Yes, yes.
Awesome. Unlike last year, we're bored.
Yeah.
So let's move on to number 5, Conservation Inland Wetlands.
Conservation Inland Wetlands last met May 20th and June 3rd. There were routine applications, things like sheds, houses, and a pool, and path for lawn equipment. The 2 big items on the agenda, both meetings, were public hearings. The public hearings were held on the 20th. Both were continued till June 3rd. The one public hearing was for 18 housing units located at 598 Plainville Avenue. It's described as an active adult community. They have redesigned the project to make sure that they're avoiding 2 wetland areas. There's also going to be a conservation easement in place. The original proposal contemplated 20 houses. On June 3rd, the commission approved the plan for that housing project. The other public hearing, as everyone may already gather, is related to the project, one of the things we voted on tonight, and that's the Noble Energy truck stop at 8261 Finneman Road. The hearing has once again been continued to June 17th, so there's still opportunity to make public comment regarding this project. The project has been revised significantly since the first proposal. The warehouse has been reduced from 28,000 square feet to 18,000 square feet. The refueling area has been reduced from 10,000 square feet to 8,400 square feet, and the restaurant has been eliminated. Approximately 75 acres are proposed for conservation easement, and then there were presentations from the applicant regarding the proposal and what's happening, as well as a presentation by the intervener, Stephanie Roman. I think she was here tonight and made comment, who is objecting to the application. If anyone wants more information, I encourage you to watch the video or go find the documents for it to get more details on it. The public hearing is expected to close June 17th, but the applicant continues to provide new information, which is why it keeps getting pushed out further. The commission put a deadline on materials to be provided to the commission in the hopes that June 17th will in fact be the day that they close the public hearing.
Beautiful. Thank you, Patty. Economic Development.
So economic development, I would kind of term it like the celebration moment for the commission to a large degree. One, there was an opening at the Olmsted, cut the ribbon there. Rose Ponte was there as well as the rest of the commissioners. Trailside was last week, again, on New Britain Avenue. That ribbon got cut. And, kind of a real celebration and thank you to all the people that, put that together. Town staff being one of the real key components of why these things are successfully managed to completion in the town. And then last Wednesday was the regional chamber dinner. Again, that's Farmington, Burlington, Bristol, Plainville, Avon, and there was an award ceremony over at the Bristol Convention Conference Center. And again, just a great evening. A lot of people celebrating a lot of milestones in all different communities, including ours. Olmsted won an award for being, a chamber standout entity. So, just really that. I mean, there's been some buzz about these new things kind of on the horizon, but obviously the process has to play out more so.
A lot going on.
Yeah, so.
That's awesome. All right, the Farmington High School Building Committee?
No report. I'm still waiting to hear back for when we're going to actually have our next meeting. The plan, of course, is to wrap it up with a final meeting when they have all the final, POs and everything put together. And so, more to come.
Coming to a close.
Yep.
All right, thank you. TPC?
Aside from routine business, as Shannon mentioned earlier, they're narrowing in on their vendor for the POCD. Still hoping to come to council in July with that proposal, which I think we'll all be fairly interested in understanding and reviewing. The other item of note that are the rules are being updated for signs. To make them more consistent over the years. We've kind of gotten away from stuff, and the team is looking at changing some of the wording to make sure we're consistent going into the future and grandfathering in what needs to be done. And then the same thing with solar arrays. They're going to have their own section. We used to handle them under satellite dishes, which are going the way of the dodo themselves. And so they need to be updated, and we need to update it for the technology as it's advancing. So that process is underway. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Are there any other reports? Seeing none?
I would just say one
go ahead,
quick
please.
note is that on next week, the 17th, is the summer reading kickoff at the library. So there's going to be
awesome.
a bunch of activity going on and start of the summer.
When does that start? Is that like in the afternoon, like 4 o'clock?
I think
or
it's
something like that?
5:30.
5:30.
It starts at 5:30. Yes.
5:30. Awesome. Thank you thanks for that reminder. All right. I'm going to move on to N, the report of the town council chair. I just want to start by saying the first thing I have on my list that I'm very excited about is the updates to the website. I mean, I think that is so important, so critical to how we as a town are going to communicate with each other, letting people know what's available, and the updates to the web to making it a little easier to use, and the communication apps to make it easier to communicate back and forth is going to be a tremendous difference maker here in the town. So thank you for the work on that. Really appreciate that, both to you guys. Thank you. Also on budget and finance, I just want, because I got a lot of requests for this information, I just want to add that in terms of budget and finance overview, the town of Farmington applied the state money we received equally between reducing the tax rate this year and putting the rest into the fund balance for future stability. So this year's tax rate went from 3.5 increase to a 2.79 increase, which is a tremendous savings for residents. So we're grateful to the state and for the town council for making those decisions to reduce our taxes. So thank you for that. Also on just a reminder, one more time, it bears repeating, to join us for the spectacular 250th celebration on June 26th. And I completely forgot to mention that there is going to be something that I've been working on because I was so excited about what everyone else was working on this committee. I completely left out the fact that we're going to have an antique car show. Antique cars through the decades, from the 1900s right through the 2000s. Cars from every single decade. And what's lovely about this is we have car enthusiasts from around the state who are bringing their cars here so we can celebrate just the 250 years and see it through the technology of cars, which is really a beautiful and fun thing. So I'm excited to share that as well. The major projects that we have, the town council will continue to work on the Meadow Road sidewalk project. And as we mentioned, we'll hold a public hearing on option B on July 14th. And I also want to reiterate for those who haven't heard that there will not be a cemetery on Tinty property, there just is not. And I'm very happy to say that because I'm very glad that we got that legal opinion so we can clarify that for residents who are concerned and didn't understand why. I hope we're a little clearer so that they know that why that's not happening. I also want to, in terms of recognitions and community highlights, at this very table, I want to celebrate Keith Vibert, Kathy Blonsky, and Devin Aldave, who is not here but works in Kathy's office. And these guys ran and represented us and all of Farmington in the Special Olympics Olympics torch run. So thank you guys for representing us at that and for running. And I think that's an organization that is tremendous. And you guys being there means a lot. Thanks for representing us there.
Devin did all that.
Run would be a stretch with me.
We're going to call it what it is. Call the run. So congratulations. And of course, I am saving the best for last. And that is, I want to say congratulations to the Farmington High School seniors who will be graduating tomorrow evening. We all wish you well on your future endeavors, and thank you for all that you do and bring for Farmington. We really appreciate that, and good luck in the future. We'll see you when you come back. All right. May I have a motion?
I make a motion to adjourn the June 9th, 2026 Town Council meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you very much, everyone. And thank you all for coming here.